All right, so let's begin up. And the session is knowledgeable integrating session, the future of marketing, a CMO's perspective. We have our first speaker joining on the stage, Omar Khan, head of Martech from Dentsu. Can we have a big round of applause for him and have him on the stage, please? Our second speaker, Sonali Singh, Deputy General Manager from Tata Motors. Can we have a big round of applause for her and have her on the stage? So can we have a big round of applause? Energy. And our third speaker is Sebastian Cuevas, Minotta, founder and CEO, SEBU International and DUB Marketing Management. Can we have a big round of applause for him and have him on the stage? Our upcoming speaker from Howl Digital, who are also a digital and growth marketing partner with DIGITALCONFEX, to file merchant business director and co-founder from Howl Digital. Can we have a big round of applause and have him on the stage, please? Can we have a big round of applause? And the moderator of the session, Akshay Trivedi, he's a CEO with XFRACTOR. So can we have a big round of applause for our moderator? All right. So Akshay, over to you.
Thank you. Before we start, I actually want to acknowledge Ayush. I don't know where he is. He's been very patiently persistent with us for the last few months. We've been a naughty panel. We've left him alone on calls. We've not responded to his messages. We've been most active in the last 48 hours. So, Ayush, thank you so much for having us here. And before we actually dive into the conversation around what's happening in marketing going forward, I thought it'll be good for each of us to talk about what we do and what our companies do. Because I think a lot of these brands here, people may or may not know. So I think it'll be good for us to give an elevator pitch on what our roles are and what our companies do. We can start with you, Omar.
So I work for Dentsu. Dentsu is a media agency, but I lead part of CXM business, which is Merkle. And I think I was pretty audible. So with 2 decades of experience, I think I've been very lucky to really concentrate on 2 sectors in my life. One's telecom. I've been part of NTT, Zen, but also been part of technology companies like Microsoft. So I think it's given me enough to really think what really is the potential in advertising and the behavior analytics of what exactly the audience is looking for. So one of my favorite topics today, CMO's perspective, I think day in, day out, when I go to customers, I talk about this, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you. Sonali.
Thank you, Akshay. So first of all, very good evening, Dubai. I'm Sonali Singh. I'm contributing with Tata Motors as a brand marketer. And over the decade, I have worked across brands such as Panasonic, Bosch. So it's been a great, enriching journey exploring brand marketing. And it's very interesting to see how it has completely evolved, especially the post Black Swan event. So let's hear from what we have. Please have patience.
Seb.
Hey guys, nice to meet you all. I'm Sebastian. I come from a production background, music videos, commercials. We've done work for Universal, Warner Brothers, Walmart. And now we moved to Dubai and we started our marketing agency here focusing on network marketing and affiliate marketing companies. And so yeah, that's our background.
Hi, I'm Tafail Merchant. A big welcome to all of you guys. We run Howl. It's a full services digital consultancy and solutions company based out of India. We're looking at setting up in Dubai as well. We're a 100-member team. We've worked with over 100 brands. Focus now is on BFSI, ACE, manufacturing, engine, and energy companies as well. So that's who we are, right?
Thank you. Before I move, the room is emptied. We're not that bad so soon, but sure. Anyway, people will come back when they have to. I'm Akshay. Earlier this year, I hung up my boots as far as large corporates were concerned. So I've done the rounds of Johnson & Johnson, Fidelity, Standard Chartered, market research. I was selling candy in North India 20 years ago. And this year I've launched a solution for venture capitalists So we are a collective of 15 odd CXOs, and we sell our time to VCs and help drive success rate amongst their startups or the portfolio companies that they have. So that's exactly why I'm actually in Dubai. So I'm registering my company here, and that's what XFRACTOR is. Anyway, so the way we'll structure the conversation today is we will ground ourselves in a bit of context, but we want to focus on the future. And we want to focus on the future, keeping real world examples in mind. That's something which Sonali actually suggested during a lunch as well. So like I said, I've been around the block for almost 20 years now. And at my time when I started working, marketing was all about buying mass media. Yeah, let's get some space in the newspaper, let's get a TV ad made, let's get some radio, free spots. And digital used to be a rounding off conversation. I've got like a few lakh rupees left, few $1,000s left, let's buy some display. From then to now, it has been a meteoric or a pretty big change, where digital is now contributing to 50-60% of all media spends. Now, what I want to understand from the panelists here is there have been many trends, there have been many flashes in the pan over the last 15 years. Some have stuck, some haven't stuck. The ones that have stuck are social media, thanks to Facebook. They started with stamp ads, but they completely exploded the format play and the targeting play that has been around. Search has stuck, e-com has stuck. The last few years, there has been a lot of conversation, and both Sylvia and Vidisha were talking earlier about Web3 and AI and blockchain and all of those things. What I want to understand from the panelists here is, which of these do you think are here to stay? And you can, again, use examples from what you're doing right now.
So thank you, Akshay. I would like to throw some light upon how the whole ecosystem is evolved. So if you look at a normal brand funnel, even that used to be very linear, right from the interest to the purchase step. So that has much more evolved now. It's become more circular in nature. So what we see, the marketeers or the brand marketing, so it is not about a single media touch points. Like we as a consumer, or you come across a brand in multiple different touch points. So look at the routine, like you see a brand talking to you via social media, via display, via outdoor. So the different touch points have evolved. It has become much more immersive in nature. So in that kind of a landscape, it becomes even more difficult to talk to a consumer, because taking a share of mind is the target and is the task of a brand marketeer. And that's what a brand aims for. So that has become very difficult. So what has changed in the last 1 decade, according to my experiences, the change which I have seen? So the whole segmentation of ATL, BTL, TTL, they have all merged together. And there is a different era of marketing which we are experimenting with nowadays. There is growth marketing, there is performance marketing. Why? Because we want our marketing messages to perform in more real time, because the share of mind, the time spent on these mediums have much more reduced. So that's become very important. So that's where the AI, the predictive analytics makes a lot of difference. Like my fellow friends talked about the Sephora example. So there are many other global brands which are experimenting with the predictive analytics to throw different messages to the consumers, so that the whole consumer experience journey becomes more enriching. Brand has more avenues to touch base with the consumer on day-to-day basis. And what, as a brand, I would want to contribute is I need to be more connected when I'm drafting or phrasing that message. So it needs to be more real in nature. It needs to be more true. So the whole brand ethos have also evolved alongside. I hope you all will agree with that, and maybe you can throw more examples from your different industry
Actually, wanted
segments.
Omar's point of view from a customer
Sure.
standpoint, because he's interacting with so many different customers.
See, if I have to say two things that really changed, I think the buying of exactly how the media is bought. If you go back to 2000, Martin Sorrell thought he had cracked the advertising world by going ahead and pre-purchasing those impressions. Then came the world of DSPs and really thinking about a marketplace to think that everyone is on that same level. And then came the sciences behind how the purchasing happened. Today, if you ask me, I don't think a campaign really brings in the customers. It's pre-campaigns. It's the experience that you're giving the customers. Behavior analytics plays a huge role. Today, if I have to go in and I say, I know exactly where my dollar value is coming from, that's exactly the person I'm going to sell. It's too far. We really need to think about what's a pre-work on behavior analytics to build personas is really important. I was with WPP 2011. We never thought that Martech would be so big. There would be CDPs and all. Today, if you look at, the evolution's been next level. You really need CDPs in order to exactly crack what you just said. Real time. Time lost with a customer is a customer lost. That's it. So you really need to think about the personas in saying, as soon as a consumer makes a journey, my personalization is done. And that's actually shooting him a dynamic ad. Then comes the technology layer. So when I go and talk, obviously the customers who the CMOs wouldn't buy me and right away. Consulting, Accenture, Song, and all have really taken the pie today. Why? They have a discovery approach. They really give you an idea as, okay, there's IT, but there's a huge gap with your marketing technology. How do we drive that? How do we have a proper asset collection? How do we have a proper data collection? Then the big challenge today is, can I collect the data or not collect the data with so many changes happening? So personally, two things for me is the evolution of Martech and the behavior analytics side of how much data you have today.
Thanks. We'll come back to Martech later. Anything from you, Tafai?
Hi, I'll just add a few things, right? I think there are three problems that we normally face and most brands and most marketers face, right? Number one is data. They're all in silos, right? It's not centralized. And I'll speak about that a little bit later. Number two is marketing results versus business impact, right? We're all moving towards business impact and moving away from marketing results. Third is customer purchase journey bias, right? Where I'm looking at top of the funnel, looking at bottom of the funnel, looking at middle of the funnel, what's more important, what's not more important, what do I prioritize, and what do I not, right? These are three main problems that are plaguing every marketing department at any brand, whether it's a B2B business, whether it's a B2C business, whatever it is. Now, I mean, looking at data and talking about data and silos, the other problem with data is before we start processing data and adding a layer of AI and all of that stuff is data veracity. Data veracity is defined as the accuracy of data, and how legitimate that data is, right? I think today, everyone's talking data, but no one's talking data veracity, right? And I think that becomes a very important conversation from the future of marketing from a CMO's perspective. And I think that's essentially what we're looking at talking about.
I have something to add.
Seb.
Yeah. All right, so obviously content is gonna be driving marketing from here on out, for sure. There's one company, I'll try to share some links with you guys as well, some tools that you guys can use. There's this one company, it's called Early Bird AI, and they're really good at taking data and then customizing campaigns to the customers using that data. So for example, they are able to take the CEO's voice and they generated the CEO giving a message, hey, Akshay, thank you for purchasing this product. We know you're gonna love it. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them. And so they send this email with this voice memo. So it sounds like the CEO is speaking to you.
Leadership deepfake.
Yeah. And so I believe that this is where the future of all marketing content is gonna go. It's gonna take all the data that is collected, and it's gonna generate, customized content for the customers.
Very cool. Thank you. Next question is challenges for marketing right now. So what are the context here is digital has made marketing very complex. And I'm coming from a place where I found it very hard to explain to my CEO in my past roles that I've spent millions of dollars and I've got you billions of views and lots of engagement. And his question to me was always like, yeah, but my product is still on the shelf. Yeah. So what do I do with the video views and the engagement and the number of fans? So that's always been my challenge. I know it's changing. Accountability of marketing is improving. But what are your perspectives on challenges for marketing right now, So as employees?
I'm actually going to take Tufial's example later on, but so two big challenges. I definitely think the budget cutting down, massive. I think that's having immense effect. And the decision making of a CMO today is very restricted. Because if you look at traditional method, he knew budget, he knew the channels. He would go and spin it out. Today, there's a lot of IT involvement. There's a lot of marketing, Martech involvement. The second thing is, as much as we all hate, we want to collect all the data. There was GDPR, which killed us for a few years. Then cookie depreciation coming on. Then there is NDMO in Saudi, and I'll bring one of the clients I'm working with, the top 4 football clubs. And then there is laws out here. So how do you store the data? What PII data? These two are really, I mean, it's not destroying, but obviously there's innovation that comes into picture. And that's where your point comes into existence. How do I really tackle and expand my reach to customers? It's not just B2C or D2C. It's really thinking about even the B2B people, where, for example, I work with Samsung, one of our biggest clients today, and we collect their data, but what do? We really tell them which customers do you need to go and sell. If you expand that a little, the influencers today who have built Samsung homes, Samsung has never gone ahead and checked up an influencer saying, this home has every gadget that I need. How can I take this across to a developer today and sell, this is the Samsung smart home? To exactly your point, have we really managed to collect that data and build insights? We haven't. So then it says, exponentially, I'm going to go 4 times. But then I'm not just talking to a CMO, I'm talking to head of sales who actually conveyed this point to me saying, my sales has to be more, but you have to be given an ROI there. So obviously reducing the budget is not going to solve it, but building that efficiencies by bringing the right tools, and even automating some of the activation is going to give you a huge amount. I mean, you worked for Panasonic. I'm sure a lot of marketing really gets done by India. SEO gets done by India. So I'm not saying we should replace those, but really thinking of where the value is coming. My wife asks me, this ChatGPT is killing the brains. It's actually not. It's actually the starting point. I was doing my engineering and there were calculators which came out. It became open book. So it's giving people more to think about rather than just concentrating on the basics. So I think it's the world where we really want to concentrate and move on from budgets and really those boundaries to think about, can I really pitch in to bring in more data sets and make more revenue?
Yep. Sonali, anything from you?
So I would like to add upon, like, also monitoring and measurement of the campaigns have also become very important now, because we are dissecting the marketing legs into too many. So sometimes we are spreading very thin when it comes to the budget. So for a business head, it is very important where every penny is being spent and how the ROI is coming. Like, I would like to give you some examples from lead marketing campaigns. So getting a customer acquisition from leads, monitoring that cost versus what I have spent. So that has become very important. However, like from the big giants, the need is to have more tools wherein we can do that measurement easily. We can merge different campaign performance together because we can't view it in silos. That way, I can't measure my brand campaign effectiveness if I sit down and try to measure my TV campaign performance or my social media campaign performance. So I need tools or a dashboard which will deliver me to understand where my price count is performing more, and then using the platforms which are undervalued. Like you talked about platforms which are more active today in terms of social media, which is, of course, LinkedIn, Instagram, Meta. But we also want to touch the platforms which are not very utilized, like Pinterest, or for that matter, Twitter. So my budget, I'm trying to diversify on those platforms because I'll get a better share of mind. But if we have a tool which makes it more easier, so that way our brand marketer lives will become more easier. From the business side, it will be easier to quantify the budget spent versus what the ask was. So I think this is going to play a much larger role.
Got it. Tofai has been a little fidgety. Yes, what's up?
So I think prioritization, right, for marketers, and what do they do first? And that's the biggest conundrum that a lot of them face, right? We're just onboarding a cooperative bank. It's a very big cooperative bank, but the processes are age old, right, back in India. So I think, the conversations didn't start off with, hey, we want to spend more money and get more customers. The conversation started off with saying, hey, you've got so many customers. You're a 100-year-old bank, right? And you've got so many customers and different places, and how do you take all of that data, first figure out how to churn that data, talk to these dormant customers who've been transacting, customers who've always been with you but not really interacted with you, engaged with you on all of these channels, build out a solution for them, and then start looking at acquiring new customers. Now, both of them can be done parallelly. It's not like you choose one over the other. But what happens is it's too much for decision makers to take at one point in time. But you've got to do it parallelly because you can't do one thing over the other. So I think prioritization, figuring out what to do, running things parallelly becomes a very, very important role as you move forward, right? And marketing it's going to keep getting complex and more complex, right? So I think it's also very important for the CMO or the marketer to don multiple hats, right? I think they're also becoming revenue drivers, right, for their businesses. They're figuring out new opportunities or new revenue streams, and then they're taking that to their commercial officers to sort of figure out. So it's not a simple hat to don anymore, and I think their role is going to become challenging moving forward.
Such a valid point, actually. I think apart from just saying that, I think the teams are setting silo as well. If you look at it, CMO, it's not it might be multiple hats, but I think CDO and the CMO have to really work together.
So internal structures. That's why I hung up my corporate boots. Yes, sir.
So I have two. I have two things that I've personally have dealt with. Now I think one of them is gonna change in the next 2-3 years, but the other one is an unrealistic expectation of virality every single time. When you get hired by a company, they're expecting you to create a viral hit, right from the start because they see all these companies just going viral with their marketing campaigns. So I feel like that's one of the issues that CMOs have to deal with right now. It's this unrealistic expectation that every single marketing campaign is going to be a viral campaign. And then the second one is there's not that many people that actually know how to use AI well now that you can hire. As a CMO, you need to hire teams. Right now, people are still learning how to use different AI tools. So it's kind of hard to find really good, competent AI users, into your teams. But I think in the next 2-3 years, that's not going to be an issue. So,
Seb likes talking about AI a lot.
yes.
We will go to that. My next question is about that. But before that, a challenge from my perspective has always been about leadership education. So Maersk had done a survey last year with 1,900 CXOs globally with what their top 5 challenges for 24-25 are. Number 1 was top line. Number 2 was costs. Number 3 was digital transformation. Number 4 was AI. And the next few pages down, the question was asked, what do you understand about application of AI and digital transformation? Awareness of this was probably the lowest. So they also seem to be going with the buzzwords in what's happening in the industry versus, also they're saying the right things because they don't want to look stupid in front of, their peers in the industry. So for me, I think it's important that behind closed doors, we need to educate our bosses that, hey, this is where the business will actually come from. Viral is shiny, but viral can also drive business. So it's just a question of how we strike that balance. Now we'll go in, I promise I'll only ask one question on AI because I think the entire day there has been a lot of AI strewn across all panels. But before I ask the question, I wanted to ask of whoever's left in the room, what do you think was the earliest use case of AI known to man? And when was it? No, because I'm going to go into future, but I want to say that's where AI comes from. Where does AI come from?
Inception.
1939. 1939-40, the Enigma machines by the Nazis were being used to sink U-boats in the Atlantic Ocean. That was the earliest application of artificial intelligence. And they got Alan Turing. You guys should watch Imitation Game if you haven't. Watch that movie. That's how he cracked the code. The second application was in 1997, which is known to us, when Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov. Garry Kasparov won the first game. Next year, Deep Blue came back and defeated Garry Kasparov. So what's changed now in the last few years? AI has been around for 84 years. What's changed now is it's become more mainstream. It's being used in the travel industry. It's being used for medical advancements. It's being used for credit scoring, credit worthiness. And it's become most mainstream because of marketing. Because it's become so accessible that anyone can go and start using AI. However, 55 to 60% of all marketing spends globally are still coming from the big organizations, the Unilevers, the J&J, the P&G. And these guys have always been dinosaurs in adopting newer tech because they've got dinosaur agencies working with them. So I can say that out because I'm out of there. What I want to understand from the team here is, how do you see going forward AI being adopted by large advertisers? We've got a good mix of large advertisers, agencies, and of course, earlier, younger organizations. What are your views on adoption and what needs to be done differently this time?
So one big area of adoption of AI is in terms of decision making. When we are using the marketing mix and trying to evaluate which are the best touch points which I'll be utilizing to take ahead my brand message. So that is where I think it is helping us more. Like the influencer marketing is growing. So how do you channelize, how do you segment which influencers are best for your brands, which creators are gonna perform more. So you can use AI in all these measures. And like in India, you know, different states have different languages. So there is a lot of vernacular content which every brand invests into. So there is a lot of cost saving we see into using AI in those vernacular campaigns, because it is very easy to transform a message in multiple languages in date of today than it was earlier. So I save on time, I save on effort, I save on resources. So these are the areas from the advertising resources side, which we see becoming much more savvy with the advent of AI. And in future, I think, as we know, it is evolving. The big giants are investing much more into how they can keep the privacy of the consumers safe. Like you see, Google is investing so much into driving that message of like you have to stay away, whosoever is reading your browsing history. So there's a much big campaign they did last month, so which talks about privacy is very important. So Apple takes a dig on that. So they promote like Safari is the best private browser to be there. So brands are talking about how they can keep brand protection, brand safety, brand governance. So these are the areas where organizations are going to spend more, and AI is going to stay there. How effectively and smartly you use it, that is in hand of the brand marketeers for sure.
Got it. Seb?
Yeah, I think just like anything, user interface, UI, that's gonna absolutely make it more adaptable for people. Like you guys were saying, you know, as we progress, we're gonna have to wear multiple hats. So if the user interface is not easy for you to manage on one single person manage a bunch of different tasks, is gonna be a steep learning curve. So I think that's gonna be key to making it more adaptable. Adaptable? Is that a word?
Yeah, it's fine. What about you, Omar, from an agency perspective?
I don't think agencies would spend a lot on AI, to be very honest. I don't think we are in R&D. We aren't in R&D. I think the clients, I love that first point which you said. There's a huge knowledge gap with the top level people. What exactly does AI really bring on board? So I think what agencies are trying to do here is fill that gap. Really give them an overview of what exactly we're doing with AI. In my area with Samsung, with the football clubs in Saudi, the whole aim is how do you mature your data? The quicker you mature, so it's all about audience segmentation. I don't think I really need to hire data scientists for that, because there are massive companies like Google, Microsoft who have native hyperscaler tools in there, and I think that'll solve the problem. As much as it's a buzzword, I think it's an overkill at times, and for the easiest problem, I mean, audience segmentation can solve a massive problem there. Really think about how do I sell, for instance, one of the football clubs we're working with, they want to monetize the data. So monetizing the data for them really means, based on my season, how do I make sure I sell tickets to the right people? How do I make sure people are converted on web, app, and also the ticketing systems? Basically, you're building a data lake, which is actually maturing your data of which are the people who are going to buy season ticket versus family tickets versus tickets. How do you really tie that up with campaigns and the calendar? So easy as that. But obviously, I would say the key there is really the hyperscaling tools that these guys have developed instead of really hiring a bunch of data scientists. It might sound bad, but that's the fact, to be honest.
It's a free country. We say what you want. Tufai, your views?
No, I completely agree with Omar. So I'm not going to lengthen this. Data veracity, right? How you're taking that data, and audience segmentation is so important, right? I mean, we talk about AI and its use in multiple forms of marketing, but this is like base level, right? And you need to be able to get that right before you decide to do anything else. So I'm just going to agree with Omar and let the panel continue.
Yeah, okay, fine. My view on this, human beings are lazy. They need to educate themselves. They need to take more accountability, and that's how adoption is going to happen. Cool. Over the last decade or so, there's a new term which has come in, which is Martech. There are lots of Martech solutions, whether it's in creative, whether it's in media buying, whether it's in measurement and insights, whether it's upper funnel, lower funnel. And as we've already established, forget leadership. In general, in an organization, when you are an entrenched employee, you're not really making that much of an effort to upskill yourselves. So how do you prioritize what is good for you and what's good for your business? And how do you communicate, or how do you influence your leaders in making those investments? I think Omar is very passionate about this. I thought I'm going to ask him this question.
I'll show two sides to it. Definitely my favorite is the technology side, but we recently presented something to Government of Saudi Insurance Board, and they were very keen to try and really think about how does Martech really make a difference. One of the top 4 companies had done an IT audit. They gave them an overview of exactly where their gaps are, but it wasn't really enough. So what we did, we took an approach where we walked them through exactly how our campaigns launched. As I told earlier, step 1, people think, okay, I've got the budget, I go and activate on that. That's not the thing. Where you look at it is, where are your other tools like YouGov, Statista? There's enough data for you really to think about my personas, because as a brand, I should know what my motivation is. I should have been actually thinking about it. Then you take over thinking about how do you monitor each time a campaign's launch, exactly to the point which you said. And the monitoring is not just restricted to saying Google's done this. Your own data. I mean, the best topic I want to talk today about is the first party data. People are sitting on that first party data. You really need to think about how do you have loyalty apps that can capture that data. The government institutions today are sitting on so much of first party data. Unfortunately, they can't reach out because they don't understand marketing that better. So Martech is really important. It really connects the dots between your, definitely the marketing strategies, but what it's doing, it's generating the ROI for you. Initially, people won't like that. Nestle, I think one of you mentioned, when they came in for a pitch, I was very surprised it was not a marketing pitch. You were talking to IT heads, and they had a data strategy in place. So they had understood that I need a proper data taxonomy. Marketers would exactly think about how my campaigns launch. They exactly had understood what is my personas looking like. So I can talk about CDPs, I can talk about DMPs, I can talk about the asset management tools, I can talk about how do we activate there, but there is a prioritization that's really required. So when we finished the study for one of the Saudi clubs, for a fact, we know they call their SharePoint as a CRM. How can that SharePoint form really act as a CRM? So definitely that knowledge gap, but even before companies like Merkle or publishers or anyone really go into this one, I think there's that education, but beyond that, there's a discovery approach, really thinking and telling them what is my best tool that's fitting. But really, there has to be a maturity that the CMO really needs to understand. You can't really go and end up putting up a CDP. So then they come to us, composable solution, which in the future, as your data matures, which is the backbone of your industry, you think about bringing these tools on, and that's where I think the value comes. Probably went too deep into it.
Because you're passionate about it. What's a composable solution?
So there are lots of hyperscalers out there, Microsoft, Azure, and AWS. And then there are big players in CDP, which is Salesforce. And then there is Braze, which I love a lot nowadays, not sponsoring them. But a composable solution is where you're really breaking down that CDP into 2 components. One is really looking at collecting that data, and the second is activating. Composable CDP gives you the leverage on building that data lake. So in the future, I'm trusting my data before it's been activated. Had I gone ahead and done a full CDP, and the data is not good, I've wasted my dollars in implementation.
Which happens at wide scale. I've seen that too.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, a new CEO comes in like, what the hell have you guys done?
Yeah.
Anyone else with any views?
I think Omar has covered it well, but I just want to say, especially for the large organizations, those who have been very successful, like the legacy organizations, like where I'm presently working, so they have never invested much in terms of digital transformation. But now is the time they have understood that focusing on this is very important. So bringing all the data pools together, like working with the tech partners and then putting the CDPs in place, it's much more important today. Because why, when they are launching newer innovative products? So it is important to let the consumers know that you have an offering to upgrade. So we have to invest into cross-sell campaigns, into upsell campaigns. So that's where this data will be utilized the most. So that's where a lot of organizations have understood the reason of transformation, and they are investing heavily into digital transformation, getting on e-commerce platforms like an automobile organization becoming very e-commerce friendly. So we are working towards even providing the spare parts to the different dealers via e-commerce portals. So there are things like these which are happening in the ecosystem. So it's much more important now to transform and take those steps.
Got it. I think Ayush is standing here. That's my warning signal. So, is it or is it not? Because I have one last question and then we can open
Yeah, sure, you can ask.
Can do?
Yeah, sure.
So, ROI versus ROO. Return on investment versus return on objective. Return on objective is what the business has in mind, that I'm spending this much, I'm earning that much. Return on investment should be an ROO, but marketing has become about, I'm spending this much and these are all the fancy metrics I'm giving you. So where do we strike that balance? Anyone can go.
I'll answer that, right? I think business impact over marketing results. I think that the conversation's already moved there as agencies will cease to exist, right? We're going to become consultative, we're going to become consultants, and every conversation is going to be about, I'm going to spend this money, I'm going to spend these marketing dollars, right? What is the eventual business impact? And business impact can be defined in multiple ways, right? Obviously, revenue being right at the highest, but obviously, top of mind recall, right? And brand salience becomes very, very important. So 100%, right? It's going to be business impact over marketing results.
Got it. One more response and then we open it up.
So obviously, you need the ROI so that you can get more money, so you can do another campaign for sure. But some things are very hard to quantify. Like people recognizing the brand. That's the biggest ones. How do you quantify that? And the industry that I'm mostly in, which is affiliate marketing and network marketing, we do a bunch of companies where they have this issue, where you have a distributor that's telling his aunt, his sister about this company and getting them to join and sign up. And so, you can't really quantify that until they purchase. And so, there is a fine balance that you have to play. There still has to be some kind of ROI, but the brand recognition also plays a long way, because then when people see it again, it might not be the 5th, 6th, 7th time, but maybe the 8th time they'll end up signing up because they saw it so much. And so, it's something to just kind of keep in mind that, this brand recognition long-term can also be part of the ROI strategy.
Very good point. So measurement solutions have not been able to keep pace with the way technology has evolved over the last 10 years. And it's probably not going to happen in the near future. On that really happy and hopeful note, I'll open this up to questions from any of you.
So any quick question from our panelist?
Thank you for the discussion. It's very insightful. So my question is more related to the career in marketing. Where do you see the role of CMOs? And is it truly diminishing and being replaced by consultancy work? Especially that I see like most of the panel are not CMOs, and it's a CMO perspective.
I can take that to start with. You're absolutely right. So the CMO's role is, in my mind, getting diffused across skills. because till recent times, CMOs were, or marketing teams were generalists. You know, you come from an MBA institute, you understand what brands are, you understand what business is. You come in and you become an internal consultant and an internal aggregator of sales and finance and marketing and brand and everything. So it's getting diffused now, the role. It's getting bifurcated into the different skills. You know, Sonali had mentioned earlier, there's performance marketing, there's growth marketing. There is no way in the world that a CMO at that level is going to know everything in marketing. So you might need a figurehead, which could be a business leader, or you probably would need a couple of people depending on the objectives that they are expected to achieve, whether it's growth, whether it's performance, whether it's brand marketing. So CMO itself as a role, in my mind, yes, it is diminishing. I've been a CMO a couple of times before.
I'll just add to that. I think it's going to evolve, right? I don't think, and what's happening is, if you realize, right, most marketing heads or CMOs are also becoming CEOs today, right? Because they're playing that role of a business driver, right? So, I mean, you want to call them CMOs, right? Obviously, because the marketing function in general has evolved, right? So essentially, why the role of the CMO is going to evolve, and they're gonna have to don multiple hats. So I don't see them going away, but they've just got to be better at what they do. They've got to understand the landscape, and the landscape is changing so quickly, is evolving so quickly. We're talking about Martech, we're talking about AI, we're talking about Web3, and like I mean, it's not going to be very easy to keep up, right? So if they can keep up and keep abreast, right, I think they're going to be great CMOs.
You're absolutely right, yes. I feel that, yes. I think it's maybe not going to go away, but it won't be. Some companies might still want a standing CMO. Like right now, I'm a marketing director for 3 different companies and a CMO for one company. But it's really my company doing all the marketing for them. And it's all consultant work. And I do believe that eventually this is all going to just go away because of AI, because the CEO is going to be able to do a lot of the marketing himself, you know? So yeah, that's just my thought.
I hope that day comes.
I want to add one more viewpoint. So it's not going to diminish, because it's going to become more important, because how an organization or a brand is delivering its message, it's become more important, because we are talking about making our messaging more humanized, so more emotional. Like you see a lot of brands are spending huge on creating stories. There is a lot of user-generated content which is being created now than ever before. So a role of CMO is going to be more important. What the CMOs, new age CMOs needs to learn is they need to be more adaptive of the newer technologies. There has to be more cross-functional role in terms of within the organization. So it will overlap with taking a hat of a CIO or another CXO, because again, digital transformation is also very important. So it's going to grow bigger, and then it has to do justice to various different segments of marketing which have evolved now.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do we have? All right.
Yeah, hi. My name is Sanjeev. I come from data and AI consulting perspective, right? So we do consulting around data and AI for all the industries, and marketing is present everywhere in all other industries, right? So my question basically is, I think Omar was mentioning about the importance of data maturity, data strategy, and Sonali was mentioning about digital transformation and all, right? So I have a viewpoint. I mean, it's not a specific question to anyone probably, but my viewpoint is that, I mean, most of the industries are evaluating the use cases right now. They are more into experimentation phase. So if it's fear of missing out, so everybody wants to experiment and where we are going, right? So, I mean, my viewpoint from a consultant perspective is that, I mean, you need to identify how marketing team can own the data, right? So that you can do some AI use cases on top of it, specific to marketing, right? So once you know that, okay, there are established ownership around the data, and then you have a proper data and AI strategy, and you can take help of consulting company. Probably I'm not marketing my own company, but what I'm saying is that, I mean, have you ever thought about increasing the awareness about the literacy around AI? I mean, it's not important that whether you are going to use it or not, But
No, you're
it
right.
should be, I mean, that everybody should be aware about, okay, you are not a business person only, you're not doing the marketing job, but I think how can you utilize the underlying data and AI capability which your IT division is building on, and there has to be some initiative around data and AI literacy actually. So is any one of you, I mean, doing that? I mean,
we
just
spoke
wanted to know.
about that a
Yeah.
lot initially.
Man,
So
your job's the most
education.
important one, to be honest, and I would actually not teach everything to old habits die hard.
Yeah.
The marketers today have an Excel, and they have the budget. They don't want to play with the data and the previous data, historical data. So I have tried that. I'm not saying in this company, but I think there has to be specific functions within even the media agencies that tackle this one. It's not just about really launching the campaigns. It's really from the point of how data acquisition really happens and goes through multiple stages. And that's how good your output is going to look at. I might go and sell something in Saudi, and if it's not NDMO compliant, which I don't think a marketer would ever understand. And for explaining a PI data to a person like that, then one, it's going to take a long time. Two, I don't think we really want to be in this stage where we're not using the technology and the consultants. You have built up frameworks and the blueprints that go way miles away from what a marketer could do. So you want to make sure those people fit into what you do better, as to me going and teaching the framework or a blueprint, which ideally I think it's a total different definition of what a marketer versus an analytics person would do.
Fair enough, yeah.
Also to add, there are major organizations, those who are spending huge to consultants. Like there are a lot of new innovative products being launched, especially in the Indian market. So the organizations today are not resisting to make those partnering with the consultants to get the right workflow, so to get the right blueprint, how the launch has to happen, what learnings they can use from the past. So it's happening, and it's very important. It's become much more, the brands and organizations are much more aware to use those consultings which are available.
My viewpoint was that it's not about outsourcing anything to the consulting companies or anything, but internally, I mean, within the marketing division, at least any of your companies are trying to increase the awareness about the topic on data and AI. It could be inside your data academy or AI academy. Yeah?
Forever.
Yeah.
It's like a constant journey for everyone internally, whether it's the tech team, whether it's the marketing team, finance, everyone. It's just that you learn something and then something new comes. So, and something new comes and then you're still taking 2 years to do a pilot of something which is already obsolete. So then you're like, oh my God, I need to start something new now. So it's a constant journey. I think it's important, and we discussed prioritization earlier. We need to put a flag in the ground and say that these are the 3 things which are going to help me in the next 6 years. That's what we should be focusing on. Everything else is noise.
But I think a very valid point. We started this at Merkle. We've been doing this for 2 years. We've got a data academy that concentrate on 2 major things. One is the marketing tools, but these are very much the measurement side of things, customer journey side of things, but it gives you an idea of how do you launch a campaign. Second is really the AI, the worlds of SQL, Python, hyperscalers and all. And it's a 3 months program, and then they never become a part of marketing team, they're part of data team. So
that's fine, at least you tried.
No,
glad, I mean, at least you tried.
Okay, I think it's a coffee break now, right? So, and Ayush is like,
I think
really
we
want to
have
give us the
a
certificates.
Question from the lady over there.
Yeah, sure. Last. Then we can discuss outside.
Sorry, one last question. Apart from AI, what else is within the future of marketing?
Hard to tell, to be honest. It's really hard to tell because right now everything is AI. What I can say is the future of marketing, there are many different applications of AI. So there's the lowest hanging fruit, which is creative and content, but there is also audience management. There is also, figuring out newer channels, what the channel mix is. So right now, I think AI needs to be really integrated into the way we market, because I think there's a bit of resistance from the larger organizations and even agencies.
I'll just make one point, right? I think moving forward from a content and creative point of view, right, humanizing every conversation is going to be very key. With AI, with everything happening and bots and blah, 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 all of that bit happening, right? The human element is going to be so important because eventually, and it was said in the previous panel also, right, we're dealing with human beings, right? And that's going to be key. other than AI for the future of marketing?
I'll take example from Meta here. Like what they're trying to do is building a personal assistant for us. And tomorrow it's going to be much more evolved. Like I was reading about the some Meta glasses where you will remember where you have parked your car and things like that. So it's going to be more humanizing so that technology can be used in your everyday life, in your every behavior, how you are living, how you're interacting. So you see we have a lot of bots at home today, even for cleaning, we have robots. So how they are interacting with each other, all that learning is going to help us in doing our jobs much more faster, much more efficiently. So I think the future is all that.
Aside from AI, definitely Web3 and the blockchain. There's more uses to it other than just crypto coins. I'll give you one really good example. We're working with a company called Defily.ai, and their whole organization is built on a tokenized NFT. And so when you sign up to the company, you mint an NFT, and then anybody that you sign up in your team gets added to this NFT. So then people can verify on the blockchain how much volume this particular NFT is gaining. So if you decide to sell your company or sell your organization, you can put it on OpenSea or one of these other NFT platforms and actually sell the NFT, and you can ask whatever you want, but people can verify on the blockchain how much volume is going to that. And I believe that a lot of other companies are going to start doing this. Gary Vee did a talk on this, on NFTs, where he said eventually companies are going to give you a receipt that is an NFT, and that's going to become like a collectible. So like say you buy a Chanel purse. You don't just have the Chanel purse, but now you have this NFT of your purse on the blockchain, number 785, and you can sell this NFT separate from the Chanel purse or, together, you decide. But I believe that this is also going to be a huge part of the future of marketing and technology, the Web3.
All right. Can we have a big round of applause for Akshay for moderating this wonderful session and the other key speakers? So thank you so much. And I'm sure we are aware about the future of marketing now in the next 5 years. So let's move ahead.
So I will kindly say to all the panelists for a group photograph quickly. I will ask Mitali to present certificate of participation to the speaker. So first we have moderator of the session, Akshay Trivedi. So next we have Sonali Singh. Come on guys, huge round of applause for Sonali. So next we have Tufail Merchant. Come on guys, huge round of applause for Tufail. So next we have Sebastian. Come on guys, huge round of applause for Sebastian. And at last we have Omar Khan. Come on, guys, huge round of applause for Omar.